Welcome to Food.Cook.Share. If you have ever attended a country baked bean supper, brown bread is always with it. This oatmeal and molasses flavored bread is a flavor experience like no other. Let's do it. This dough has two parts. Oatmeal and molasses give it flavor, while yeast and flour give it structure. Since the oatmeal is not processed, it needs to be pre-soaked to soften so it incorporates into the dough. In a heat-proof measuring cup, I am adding 2 cups of boiling water, half a cup of molasses, and 2 tablespoons of butter. Stir until the butter is melted. Then add 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 cup of rolled oats. You will want to stir the oats thoroughly to make sure there is no clumps and the mixture is fully combined. We will set the mixture aside to let everyone get to know each other, so the oats can hydrate and soften to become plump, tender, to become sexy. Sorry, don't know where that came from. Let's get ready to make the dough. In a large mixing bowl, add 1 cup of warm water, 1 teaspoon of sugar. Dissolve the sugar in the water. I'm giving it a bit of a swirl. Finally, sprinkle 1 tablespoon of yeast over the water and let it sit for 15 minutes to give the yeast time to bloom. Okay, it took a little doing, but I think we're all ready. Our oats are prepared, the flour is measured out, and our yeast has bloomed and bubbled boisterously into a bodacious bevy of baking bliss. Buzzinga! First, let's stir the oat mixture to make sure it's ready to pour. I'll add it to the yeast. Finally, we'll add the 5 cups of all-purpose flour to the bowl. Now grab your sturdiest fork and commence to stirring. Start on the outer edge of the bowl and stir into the center. This works very well to quickly introduce the flour into the liquid. We want them to get to know each other pretty well by the end. Continue this action until the mixture is just too thick to continue stirring. Ditch the fork and go in with your hands. There's nothing better than the feeling of sticky, squudgy stuff hanging off of every digit. Maybe that's just me. But I digress. What was a shaggy mixture will eventually begin to form into a solid mass that you will be able to knead. Start kneading in the bowl until a solid ball forms. Once it is fairly cohesive, transfer all the contents to a work surface and incorporate all the loose flour into the dough and knead in a regular pattern of pushing and folding. Add flour as necessary if the dough is sticky as you work it. This dough needs to be worked for about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how well your kneading develops the gluten, but eventually it will become smooth, taut, and very springy to touch. At this point, the dough needs to rest. Return it to the mixing bowl, cover with plastic wrap or a proofing cloth, and place it in a warm spot for an hour and a half. Now, we have a bit of time in our hands, so let's grease the baking pan. You can use baking spray on your pan, but I'm a bit of a traditionalist, so I'm going to stick with brushing it with elbow grease. Shortening or lard works too. The sponge is finished rising, and it's time for the big reveal. Voila! It looks really good. It's doubled in size, nice and yielding. Perfect. Now let's poke the crap out of it. Next, we portion the dough. The recipe in the description below shows that this amount of dough is enough for 2 small sandwich loaves. But I like big slices of brown bread, so I put both dough balls in the same pan. Crazy, I know. That's just how I roll. Cut the dough in two. Make sure the two pieces are about the same size, otherwise the two loaves won't bake evenly. Then shape the dough into balls and place each into the prepared baking pan. Let it rise one last time to form a final shape before baking. After the second rise, the dough will have doubled again and is ready to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit to a rich brown color. Be aware that if you use one loaf pan, like mine, the bake time is closer to 70 or 80 minutes rather than 45 minutes for two loaf pans. Looking good, golden brown crust, nicely domed, and it should sound hollow. Let's turn it out of the pan and have a look at the bottom. Nice, but I can't wait any longer. I've got to crack this bad boy open. Oh yeah, perfect if I do say so myself. All we have left is the tasting. Let's hack off a slice. I can definitely feel how substantial the crumb is as the knife is cutting through it. Fresh bread is just not right unless it has an absolutely obscene amount of butter. Okay, here we go. See you on the other side. It is slightly sweet, with the smooth, earthy flavor of oats. The crumb is tight, yet still tender, nice chew, and the butter adds a hit of salt and creamy richness that takes it to another level. It is essentially country bread augmented with molasses oatmeal, but regular bread pales compared to this subtly sweet, hearty loaf. Amazing. There you have it. 2-bun rolled oat and molasses brown bread. You need to experience this. Stay safe. Cheers.